Hey, good Monday morning. Michael Clark here with BAMWX.com and your long-range forecast outlook. It's Monday, October 21st, just a little after 8:30 Eastern, and we're going to get right into the outlook here for the next several weeks. We've got a interesting pattern evolving here where I think we could be looking at a big pattern flip coming in mid-November. It may start very warm. In fact, it will start very warm. It'll be very warm to the east. We've got several fronts coming in, and an indication that we're flipping to a much more active pattern. Rainfall coming in. We need the rain. We'll talk about that here in just a second as well. These are our fronts and storm fronts dates the next few weeks. We look at a front here, a cold front around the 25th, the 27th. It'll warm up after that. A couple weeks ago we made the claim of a pretty warm Halloween, especially in the east. We certainly believe that to be the case. It'll probably be in the 70s for a lot of people for Halloween. Storm system, cold front again. As it kind of sweeps through the central portion of the country, 29th through the 31st. A lot of the activity will be focused there. I'll talk about that in a second. And again, you can just kind of see fronts and storms here the 4th through the 6th, and then this is the one I'm kind of keeping an eye on around the 15th of November. So let's get into the analysis today. This is a look at the precipitation departures for the month of October so far, where you can see where it hasn't rained. Obviously, it just hasn't been any rain in the darkest reds. Been exceptionally dry, except for Central Florida, where they got 3 months worth of rain in 2 days. The desert Southwest has had a little bit of rain. It's just been very, very dry, and it's aiding in and assisting into this. Just almost every state in the country has some sort of a drought. It's remarkable, really. The only states that aren't drought level are obviously the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida. And that's due to, in part to Helene, essentially. But every other state, arguably in the lower 48, has a drought in it. Just haven't seen that in quite some time. It's pretty remarkable. Just looking at the last 90 days, if you see the 132 on there, it's the driest in 132 years. This is dating back to 1893. Look at that. New Jersey, the East Coast, several very dry areas, Minnesota, eastern Nebraska, Iowa. It just hasn't rained. It just hasn't rained. Michigan, even these dark browns are the top 5 driest of all time stretches here the last 90 days. And look at the stark contrast and differences here. You see a 1 in North Carolina, a 2 in South Carolina, a 4 in Georgia, a 2 in Florida. And this is the hurricane activity. And whenever you have really dry, hot patterns over the Great Lakes, we call that just kind of a telltale sign, really. A big ridge over the north will open up the Gulf of Mexico, the Atlantic for hurricane activity, and that's exactly what has happened here right now. You look at temperatures to start the month out. It's been cooler to the east, very, very warm west, especially in the desert Southwest, 10 to 13, even 15 degrees above the average there. Breaking records like no others in the last 90 days. And this is some of the hottest 90-day stretches we've ever seen since 1893 for the Dakotas, Minnesota, Montana, the Four Corners, California, desert Southwest. It's basically the second hottest 90-day stretch in 132 years. So that's saying something. It's very, very, very remarkable to see how warm it's been out here. So what does this mean for the pattern going forward? Well, let's take a look at things here. I've got week 1 precip on the top left, rainfall from normal, and then week 2. All right, you can see where activity is going to start really picking up here in week 2 with rain and storm chances. Now, anything with this, as storms come through, what you'll do out ahead of this is you'll pump up warmer. You'll pump in warm air. You'll get warm out ahead of this. You get what's called storm-induced warmth, and then cold can sweep in on the backside for a few days. And that battle zone creates this precipitation risk here that you see in week 2. That's much higher than much wetter than what it has been in quite some time. So certainly interesting nonetheless. Then you look here at the day 1 to 5. You see just how warm it is. You look at the 6 to 10, but watch when the front comes through late month. There's a couple of fronts that want to come through. It will bring some cold east, but it pumps up the warmth significantly out ahead. Overall, it's a very warm from normal. It's a very warm end to the month of October and start of November. The first 2 weeks of November probably are going to be very warm. Okay, but dry now week 1, wetter week 2. The warmth prevails. There will be cold fronts. There will be shots of cooler air. No question about it. But overall, there's going to be a big warm east signal as the pattern is looking to evolve and looking to change. This is the latest MJO, Madden-Julian Oscillation forecast. This is where we look at the tropical convection, the energy in the Pacific Ocean, the Indian Ocean. We can see that we start to see this wave of tropical energy to develop, all right, this pulse, if you will. And at early November, note phase 8, phase 1 here, we're seeing in that first week of November this strong or this high amplitude MJO pulse come through the area. We look to years prior where this has happened because this is not an incredibly normal occurrence to see an MJO pulse to this magnitude at this time of the year. There's not a lot of analogous dates here to look at this to compare to, but we found some, and so that's what we're kind of forecasting or basing the long-range projections off of is just that, is that we're going through a full circle MJO. And it's on all the data. Okay, so you can see where we are right now. We'll just call it phase 6, 7, 8, 1, right? Well, in phase 6, it's very warm. In phase 7, look at that, there's going to be a cold front that comes through. You see the cold dip in. Phase 8, it comes back warm again, all right, through 1. And then phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, as we get back on the other side of the circle, more cold can dip into the area, right? Same with the precipitation forecast here. Look at phase 8 and phase 1 precip forecast, very wet, especially in the central and eastern U.S. It's going to be a lot of welcomed rainfall, a little bit higher confidence for occurrence on that right now, of that occurring, all right, due to the MJO forecast, all right? Now, I want to talk about this because here's where we are right now. This is basically day 1, big ridge in the east. Note all the blues and the greens up here, no high latitude blocking whatsoever. Still none by day 5. We're dominated by higher heights in the southern tier, in the lower 48. Okay, watch as we start to go forward here. Big front starts to get its act together, closer here to the Halloween time frame, if you will, which again wouldn't shock me in the slightest if on Halloween it is very warm, no question, in the east, but also could be a big storm, maybe even severe weather. I would not put that out of the equation whatsoever here. There could be a big storm roll through, and maybe bring a day or two of cold behind it, and then it would quickly recover. But what I want you to watch is the retreat closer to the end of the run here of the heights. And watch here, look at day 15, look at the negative NAO developing and the soon-to-be PNA that wants to try to develop. This is day 15 versus day 5. It's a totally different pattern from day 5 to day 15, indicating a wetter pattern and potentially an indication of a drift towards a colder pattern mid to late November. Okay, that's the European. Here's the GFS, the American model, and then here's the Canadian. All right, and so what we really want to watch here into the month for a big front. Here is the AI, the artificial intelligent European, bringing that front through. You can see it into the month right here. Again, this could be a big storm system, central U.S., Midwest, big storm at the end of the month. And then you watch here, another big storm might want to come down. Look what's starting to happen here, even on the AI. Big front around the 5th, and this big ridge trying to develop in the Pacific Northwest, or a positive PNA. This might be a little quick, but it nonetheless is certainly trying to indicate a big front may come down. I don't know if we've got temperature departures here. There we go. And bring colder air and shake the pattern up. The reason I'm talking about this is because we have 2 years that are very close in MJO progression that went through similar phases at similar time. The year 2000 and the year 2011. Now, November of 2000 got very, very cold. In fact, it's really one of the coldest Novembers in quite some time. It's very, very cold. You can see what happened here for the central U.S. It just kind of wiped out the warmth. Now, it stayed not as cold here across the northern Great Lakes and the Northeast. A lot of that due to the big negative NAO that developed. And that's what I kind of want to point our attention to, is the high latitude blocking. In 2011, that really wasn't able to happen, but we had a similar MJO progression. All right. When you mix the two together, here's the kind of the look that you get, which is I think a look we may need to start looking for, is some high latitude blocking from the NAO and some high latitude blocking from the PNA. All right. So if that can shape up, there's a flip in the pattern that would need to occur mid-month. All right. The Pacific may start to cooperate. The MJO may allow for the negative NAO to develop. You can see if we use our methods here looking at the North Pacific pattern, okay, a front starts to surface around the 12th through the 17th, and a big front sweeps through around the 17th through the 22nd. Note back out here in the Kamchatka Peninsula, up here further north of the west, a big ridge develops over there in East Asia, causes a trough downstream, and then voila, your PNA pops up along with your NAO. All this goes, it's reoccurring waves, so it reoccurs in the U.S., which is why we slap the map here. And we see a change in the pattern. That would be the thought process or the idea. The other thing that adds credence to this is right now with a predominantly negative PNA, that's evident. The negative PNA is evident with the easterly winds here at 850 around 120 west. We have a potentially big burst showing up of westerly 850 zonal winds around 120. This, in our experience over the years, indicates a big positive PNA can come. All right. Factor that in with the NAO and the tropical forcing, and this is the idea right now for November, mid-November cold flip, which we can kind of see the pattern headed towards this. It may be one too that's maybe it's less aggressive with the warmth here. Maybe it's not as aggressive. Maybe the cold is more backed up in here, and it can be a little bit normal in here because of the NAO. Use the word normal. You use the terminology BN for below normal, and it out here is AN for above normal. But regardless, a flip I think can come. Right now, it's tough to say. We're going to say sometime mid-November. It could be around the 15th. It could be as early as the 10th. It could be as late as the 20th. It's tough to flip that, to look at that. The idea would be potentially a very cold holiday, Thanksgiving holiday shopping time frame for Black Friday and all that stuff. That would be the current thought process right now. And kind of sticking my neck out here, and I'm just basing that off of what the 500 millibar pattern is trying to do with the MJO and everything, all the other things that we see. The data, the American weekly data, the European, that does not have that mid-November cold flip. So this is kind of going against the grain here a little bit, but got a lot of reasoning to do it. So we'll keep you posted. If you have questions about the forecast, feel free to reach out to us. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.